Alright guys, what's up? So today I'm going to show you some of the basics of warping. I realize a lot of the videos that are on warping make it seem a little more complicated than it actually is. It's actually very simple. And just so you know, first of all, Ableton automatically warps samples and tracks that you bring into the audio area to whatever beats per minute you have up top. So whatever you have this set as, it's going to automatically warp a sample that you bring in. And check it out. If I double click on this sample right here, I can see some of the details about it down here. Look at warp is automatically turned on. Now you can turn this off if you want by just clicking on it and turning it off, and now whatever that clip was originally recorded at, whatever speed, it's going to play at that speed, and it may not match up with what you've got, which might be what you want. So anyways, to turn warping on, again, click back on the warp, and you'll notice that the segment BPM down below, it's matching exactly with what it is up top, and that's what we want. And as you can see, look at, there's two warp markers, one right here in the beginning and one at the end, that literally say this whole clip right here is warped to this 90 beats per minute, which I had set up top up here. But if I want to change the speed of certain parts of this beat, I can do that by adding extra warp markers. So to do that, all you have to do is put your mouse over in this area. You'll see a little gray cursor pop up, and you click a couple times, sometimes 3 times, and boom, a warp marker is put in. And notice how Ableton automatically matched these little peaks right here, these little waves. It tried to match the peak of them with these arrows or with the beat, and that's how you know that this beat is warped to what you would set, because each of these peaks and waves of sound right here, those represent some kind of sound becoming really loud, which is typically, for this one, it's probably a beat, literally a drum. So like, watch how this works when I hit play. See how each time you saw the waves jump, that's when the beat was hitting, either the bass drum or the snare drum. So that's how you can see where the hits are, basically, are these jumps in the waves. And typically your warp markers, a lot of times you want to put them in on these jumps. So if I want to put one right here, I can click there. If I want to add one here, 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 wherever you want. The key is just to kind of experiment around, but typically you want your warp markers to match these sound waves. So now if I want to change the speed of these different parts I just made, there's a couple ways to do it. One way is to click on the warp marker, and when I click on this warp marker, it's technically selecting this area right before it. So all this section can be changed in speed with this warp marker right here. And a couple ways to do it. Again, you could either click and drag it to the right or left, and you'll notice, look, it's stretching that section out. And if you look down below at the segment BPM, it is changing based off of how I move this. And that means seg stands for segment. So what's this segment's beats per minute? And just remember, if you ever make a mistake, just do Control Z. And if you want to keep going backwards to get rid of mistakes you made or changes you made, you do Control Z again, and it keeps going back. So I'm going to do Control Z again, and finally now I'm back to my original. So again, you can either drag left or right, or you can also click and drag on this number right here. So if I click my marker again, then I click my segment BPM number and hold the click and go up or down, I can move it that way. I can also just type the number directly in. So if I want to change this segment BPM to half of this, I could type in 45, enter, and you can see it cuts it in half. Now keep in mind, when you make these changes, it's kind of strange that lower numbers actually are faster. And so watch this. So if I hit play right now, it's going to sound like this. If I change this to 45 beats per minute, or at least close to that, hear that? How it starts out fast, then it goes slower once it hits this part right here. That's because I warped it. And notice when I do that, it makes this part longer. So if you make one part go faster, it's going to make the other part go slower. That's kind of how warping works. So you've got your warp markers in. One of the keys to remember is, a lot of times if you either double or cut in half this number right here, it'll kind of go along with the song really well. So if I click and do 180 with this beats per minute, and then the second marker, let's try 90 cut in half would be 45. Let's see how this sounds. So it kind of goes with it a little bit, but basically you can see you just basically have to cut them in half or double them. But experiment around with different warps, and just basically practice until you get a flow that sounds natural, that sounds good. And remember, Control Z to go back to how it was before if you want to change it. So just go and experiment with different warps, and see what works for you. Let's see how this sounds. Not very good. You can also make it where songs slowly build up. So you can make it so this part's a little bit faster, this part's a little bit more faster, this one's a little bit more faster, and let's see what this sounds now. So it's actually going slower and slower. So you could do it either slower and slower, or you could do it faster and faster. Let's try that. Let's see what this sounds like. It was a little too fast to hear, but this is a way you can do, like when people drop the beat or they drop the bass. Typically they have the song slowly speed up, and they do that with putting in multiple warp markers and slowly having the song get faster and faster. So I could put in a warp marker here and say, all right, I'm going to make this faster than that. Make this one faster than that. Let's make this one even faster. Let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, so you can see there's a lot of possibilities with warp markers. The key is just to experiment until a beat flows properly and it just sounds good. So good luck warping out there. And one last thing before I leave is I want to show you, if you ever want to make a audio sample sound lower or higher in pitch, so either lower like this or higher like this, you can double click it just like I was doing before. And this part that says transpose, that means you can change the pitch. And so if I click on this and then I press the down arrows on my keyboard, I can make it sound lower. So before it sounded like this, let's send it 3 lower. Hear the difference there? If I want to send it higher, go up. So you can see you can really change the pitch of this this sample with doing that. So good luck warping, guys, and make some music.